Cameraman Grades, cameramangrades.com, professional consultations for camera operators, video coordinators, and sports video experts at all levels. Find us at cameramangrades.com or contact us directly at cameramangrades@gmail.com for your own sports video consultation. Currently looking for the best camera operator of the 2025 NFL season. These are the best of the best, and we're putting it to the test. Today we are looking at the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Las Vegas Raiders, week 13 of 2025. Very excited to do this one. These were two of my favorite teams growing up, and let's get into it. Okay, this is a good looking kickoff to start. Nice and tight set. Panned across to see the ball where it landed, and the colors are just vibrant. Looks really good. We're within 5 yards on both sides. Really nice tight setup. Awesome. Second and 5. All right, we're pretty tight top to bottom, and they can tighten it in, so they do. That's very, very good. Man, this is looking clean so far. I really like it. Okay, excellent. All right. Want to take a look here. Let me go back to it because it's worth looking at. Right here, as they start to run routes, okay, there's a little bit of zooming out, and then it just kind of stops and waits. Why? Because the routes are all into the interior. There's really nobody pressing the edges yet. At some point they do, and at that point the filmer starts to zoom out again. But I've seen so many filmers in the NFL, just as soon as people start running routes, they just zoom out as far as they can. And I'm not seeing that here, right here. So they start to zoom back out, and there's a lot of space here. I'm not saying that there isn't, right? There's definitely room to improve that. But let me just bring it up in the box here, just to see. Yeah. I mean, they're using a good amount of space here for this, even though it's wider than I would really want to see. They're still using a good amount of the screen. Definitely room to tighten it up here, across the top, across the back, and that's where it's going to be. All right, special teams, we're punting. Pulls back nice, doesn't go too far out wide, keeps everybody in the shot, and then there's a melee for the ball. Oh my goodness. Saw it all. Really well done. All right, going the other direction. Within 5 yards, setup. Nice. Fantastic. Okay, motion that. Okay, the camera move is up with the ball. Okay, but it's delayed, right? He watches him hand it off and waits for it. Okay, now we're moving up, right? Because no reason to move up there. There's nobody actually pressing the edges of the shot. So go ahead and leave it as long as you can, and then move with it, and not a whole lot, right? I've talked about with other videos, I've talked about zooming in too much at the end of plays, getting too over anxious with a zoom. I'm seeing everything I need to. I'm seeing plenty of detail in this. And then there is a little bit of zooming in to right here, right? That's fine. Looks really good. We're off to a really good start for the Chargers filmer for this game. All right, 2nd and 6. A little bit of pre-snap motion. Everybody running down the field. Stays with it really well. Again, not a run, but a pass this time. Okay, within 5 yards here, within 5 yards here throughout the play. Looks really, really great. I'm seeing everything I need to and seeing the detail that I want. Fantastic. Awesome. Okay. Now we're out wider here. There's some space behind the quarterback, space behind the defense. I always like to shift the space to the defensive side. If you bring up 2/3, okay, there's still room to come this direction. Okay, bring this edge over here closer, and that'll put the ball more on the 2/3 line. All right, more of a general guideline. It doesn't have to be exact, but just getting in the proportions right makes a big difference. Okay, even more of a reason not to have space behind the quarterback. All right, now the pre-snap motion adjusted everything, and they adjusted in tighter because they can, right? So we started out wide. Okay, couldn't go any tighter because top to bottom, that's as tight as you can go. Just more the side-to-side adjustment was the way to do it. But once they move their receivers in, you can tighten that up again. And I'd say you can even go tighter at that point, right? Cut this down to within 5 yards. Oh, is that no play? Okay. All right. Similar set as the last play. Receivers top to bottom, hands off inside. No movement, no zooming out. Just recognized it all the way. Excellent job. Awesome. Awesome. So again, that run recognition, as soon as the ball is snapped, he zooms out just barely, and then coming right back in. He sees it all day long. That's a run. It's tight top to bottom. Slight zoom out and then zoom back in. All right, run recognition was spot on. Two-thirds to the defense. Love it. Inside handoff. No zooming out. Everything's just really clicking here. Okay. I've seen times when filmers are kind of putting pieces together. They have one piece of it but not the other. We've got one part of it, but not the next. Right? It seems like this filmer is doing a lot of things really well. Not too many things missing, if anything, that I've seen so far. Motion before the play, inside handoff, no movement, no extraneous zooming out, staying right with the right setup. If there's no reason to move it, then you've done the right things to set yourself up for success initially. Okay. The more I watch NFL games, the more I realize it's possible to film a perfect game in this league. There's space around the edges where you can allow people to fill that in, just like this. And that's a perfectly fine result for filming that play. You really could just go right down the line and film it like that every single time. I haven't seen anybody do it perfectly yet. Okay, getting out a little wider here. Once we get to this point, we're kind of zooming out. We're still zooming out, but I'm not seeing the reason for it. Okay. Less than 70% on that one. Yes. Okay. So this is a great example. This is not a inside run. This is a empty set with the correct setup. Okay, top to bottom, pretty close. All right, got the correct setup. I'd say you can still come over, doing the 2/3, right? 2/3, pretty close. But what I'm seeing here is there's no extraneous movements with this camera. They've got the right setup. This guy's pressing the edge. They're not worried about it. There's a little extra space. I might come up just a little bit, give him a little more space, cut down this space, but they're also keeping space for, any routes that are heading that direction. All right. So there was a good setup to start and no reason to zoom out, no reason to make any movements. Go ahead and let the play out. I'm going to watch it from the beginning just to see it. Yeah, almost no movement whatsoever, and keeping the ball carrier within relation to the rest of the players. He's here, right? I see a lot of filmers, they will try to center the ball, and they will take the center of the screen here, right here, and they'll put it right here on this guy, right? And then we see the crowd and we see everything behind it because the center is here and the rest of the top of the screen is up here, right? So in this case, I'm still seeing all the players here and then seeing this player at the top of the screen, which makes sense because he's, on the far side of the field. And it's score and it's awesome. Everybody loves it. Special teams setup was perfect. Special teams. Zooming out. Keeping the kicker in it, but keeping it tight. And then coming in. Looks really good. Two-thirds to the defense. Drops back. Zooms out to keep the guys in the shot. Right here, when I like to keep guys tight within 5 yards, left to right, as long as it fits within the top to bottom framing, right? So this guy's here almost to the bottom of the screen. This guy's almost to the top of the screen. So in this case, the side to side doesn't matter, right? I had somebody ask me just the other day, when I said that 50% of the screen, is in this range here. And they said, well, that's a quarter of the screen. If you were actually shrink this box down and do 50, 50, 50, 50, this is really only a quarter of the screen, right? But the real point is that you can only count one direction at a time. You're either keeping everybody in left to right or top to bottom, right? Or side to side or top to bottom. So in this case, top to bottom is filling the frame, and that's great, right? And now we're starting to see the play develop, and then zooming in to see more people around the ball. And they didn't zoom in too far. They kept it nice and reasonable, right? So at this stage of the game, I'm still seeing plenty of guys chasing down the play, getting in there behind the play, and then I get to zoom in and see the person making the tackle. So this has all been really good, reasoned decision making for this filmer, for this play. Perfect. Spot on. Okay, zooming out with the pass. Looks really good. 4th and 18, punting. Okay, zooming out wide, dropping the punter out, finding where the ball is landing, and zooming back in on it. All right. Tight side to side within 5 yards. Awesome. This is looking really good. I watched one of the Chargers games from earlier in the season, but it was at a different location, so I wasn't getting a good feel of how they were filming from their own press box, their own home field. So to see it here, this is really looking good at this point. See if they can keep it up for the whole game. If there's any places where they can improve. Okay. Great job, filmer. Kept the ball. Kept it going. All right, 2/3 to the defense. Okay. Zooming out on the run just to make sure that they kept that top receiver in it. That's totally fine. At that point, probably need to drop him out and just focus on what's going on around the ball carrier. But I completely understand the reason for wanting to keep guys in the shot. Okay, great setup. Plenty of space behind the quarterback. Probably cut that down and adjust it to the defensive side, but looking really good. Okay. 2/3 of the defense. All right. Wow. Okay. All right. A little more space at the setup here. This is more space than I've seen yet. I'm just going to throw the box on it just to make sure. Okay. If there's anything we can do to tighten this up. They're still 80 to 85%. Okay. And they do. They tighten it up once they see that it's a run. So, not bad. Okay, this is a keep. All right, how do we know it's keep? All right, we got ball carrier running this way, quarterback running this way. Which direction is it going? Well, I'm looking at these guys, right? That's the tell, right? When I first watched this, I'm thinking this guy's got the ball. Once I see him turn around and look at the quarterback, and I'm seeing all these guys running that way, it's a pretty quick indicator that he's the one with the ball. So great job, filmer. Great play. Okay, no play. Setup looked good. All right. Yeah, tighten up. I like it. Okay. Zoomed out a little wider on this one, but it was towards the end of the play. At this point right here, 5 yards, 5 yards. Okay, here's the ball coming this direction. Nobody left at the top of the screen. At that point, you can kind of start to come down, which they do. They see the sideline, and they kind of stop right there, right? They still want to keep the camera pointed at the field. At this point, you got more space back behind you here, and then also space across the top. So that's kind of where you want to be. Again, 85%. So fantastic. Okay. 5 yards both sides. All right. Now the running back stepped up. Does that change your shot? They left it. I don't hate that decision. Okay, they could have tightened it up, but sometimes, the best decision is to, stick with what you started with, right? If it was good to start and you don't have time to really reset, then go with it. Tight set. Everybody's going to the top of the screen, right? Flowed with it. Looks really good. Okay. This is a nice setup. You know, so crisp and clean. I see numbers. I see jersey names. You get that in? You sure did. Fantastic. Wow. What a great job by the filmer on that. Staying in tight. Some pre-snap motion. People running everywhere. Staying in there. Same thing here. Okay. People are more spread out here. All right. This is about as tight as I've seen on a pass. Okay. Farthest guy on the left-hand side is here, within 5 yards. Once he vacates this space, you can bring the camera over and put the quarterback on the edge. This safety ends up being the farthest guy to this side, and it's really tight. Really tight right there. That's tight. Okay. The natural movement to bring the camera left to right loosens this up to make sure that you're not dropping him out, and it drops out this extra space behind the quarterback. All right, they didn't drop him, but you know, this is kind of where you wanted to be, you know, just a half a second earlier. Okay, still got a guy here, and the ball's going to the top of the screen, so he's going to start to move that way. Awesome. And we got the ball going back the other direction. Wow. Okay. Ball hawks. Let's go. Okay. Looks great. You know, when you get two teams that are widening out the field like this, you got spread formations, you got just, you know, moving to both sidelines. It changes, you know, how tight you can be. You really have to spread out and get more of the patterns than teams that, you know, are running the ball all day long. So that aspect of the game, you know, can you keep up with it? And so far they're doing a really great job at that. Excellent. Okay, Raiders ball. Nice. Okay, fantastic. This is great. Okay, the play recognition here. This is a play fake. Looks like he's gonna, you know, pitch it to the running back going this direction, and then it's come back this way. Yep. And guess what? Quarterback fills that edge. Okay, safety here, quarterback here. All right, and now we're coming down this direction, right? Where he was, you know, likely going to be heading up, moving the camera up. Now we're heading back the other way. Up, nope, down. Okay. And then stopping once the ball's released and coming back in. Yeah, that's good stuff. If they could all be like that. Which, to this filmer's credit, so far they have all been like that to some degree. Okay, certainly the last 15 of them have seemed to go that direction, as you know, being spot on as to what they need to see. 3rd and 2. Okay. All right. One critique I would say here, and it's minor, but it's, you know, 2/3 to the defense. Instead of centering the ball and having a lot of extra space behind the quarterback, if you can put, you know, the ball, which is here, over on this line, puts the offense more on this plane here, and then you have a whole lot more space to the defensive side. Right? Because look what happens. Then you end up having to move the camera to the defensive side. What if you just started there? You remove one more extra movement from the evaluations, right? So, all right. Same thing here. There's a centered ball at the snap. Just going 2/3 to the defense would go a long way there, like this. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. 2/3, spot on. Okay, zero movement, had the perfect setup, no reason to move it. Nobody was running off the screen. Nobody was pressing the edges in any direction. Once they recognized it was a run, everybody was coming back in. So. And then once the quarterback handed off the ball, he stepped out and didn't need to stay in the frame. This is spot on setup and not a whole lot of movement. Man, this filmer, when you know what you're doing, you don't have to have any knee-jerk reactions to what's going on. He knew he had the right setup and he just left it right where it was at. Right, 2/3 to the defense. Yep. Okay, 2/3 to the defense. Okay. They don't seem to be adhering to the 2/3 as much as I would say they should, and it's just interesting because the first camera movement is always left to right as they're going that direction, right? And you'll see it. They're doing everything right, but the camera is going to move left to right. It's inevitable. So if you just start there. It can make a big difference. So, okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Again, not a whole lot of movement from the camera. As an evaluation tool, these coaches have got to be able to see everything, everything that they need to on the field. And, if the cameraman is making extra adjustments all the time when there's no need to, it just kind of gets in the way. Okay, zooming out, finding the receiver, zooming back in. Perfect. Spot on. I've seen other teams, and I've said this before, but other teams are just panning across and cutting out the kicker. This filmer is keeping the kicker in the shot, but what they're doing with it is, if you're going to keep the kicker in the shot, do it like the Chargers. And I can't really criticize that. It's not what I would recommend is to do it the way that other teams are doing it right now. But their coach might be saying we need to see him for one reason or another. I can object to what their reasoning behind that. But if that's what they need to see, that's completely understandable. All right, let's take a look at it in the box here. Okay, 65%. All right. Awesome. Looks really good. Punts away. Find where the ball lands. Lands at the 10-yard line. Okay, victory set. Gonna kneel on it, going into halftime. Victory set or get us to halftime set. Okay, kickoff, ball's away. Right, so this is where I say, keeping the kicker in the shot isn't really helping, because all it does is make you have to zoom out to here, right? And now we've got 60 yards plus, across the field. Whereas if you were to leave out the kicker there and bring it to here, you'd be more at 45 yards. Okay, and 45 yards, that extra 15 yards is having an effect on that. But this kicker is more involved than a lot of kickers that I see in the league. So. But if they're gonna make a play on it, they'll come back into the frame, at the right time. And the end zone shot will show the kicker for much, much longer, because it's directly behind them. All right. Okay, looks good. Okay. Go, go, go. Sweet. All right. I just gonna want to see it right here. Right. There's room here. Not a lot of room there. They're definitely leaving room along this bottom edge for the runner coming this direction, right? And they are making a conscious effort to keep as many people in the shot for as long as possible, which I commend that. Okay, instead of dropping out guys when you still could be seeing what they're doing, they're definitely making the effort to make sure they're staying in the shot. Okay, somebody got pushed over backwards. I saw it. Okay. Oh. Really well done. All right. 1st and 10. Pass. Dish out. Up the sidelines. Wow. Big hit at the end. Okay. I saw all that. That's fantastic. And kept it tight behind the quarterback on that one. Keeping it tight. I like it. Okay. Whereas the last series before the half, I felt like they were kind of loosening up. This time around, I feel like they're getting, really kind of making a point to stay tighter. And I say that, and then they zoom up behind the quarterback. But, still keeping guys top to bottom. Special teams, punting, punts away. They drop the punter, which they do. That gives you a nice tight frame for everybody as they're running down the field, covering the punt, and zoomed out to see exactly where that ball landed. So we've got hang time statistics off of that. We've got punter, punt distance, statistics. Punters got everything that they need to see out of it. Made sure that there was no impact on the punter, no running the kicker, penalties or anything like that. So, great job. Okay. Got space behind the quarterback. Okay. Looks good. 4th and 10. Punting again. Okay, punter's kind of hidden in the end zone. There he is. Right, punts away. Dropping the punter. Finding the ball. And then zooming back in. Almost immediately starts zooming back in. Right, as soon as he dropped the punter out, he started bringing it back in. Kind of hesitant, just waiting for more guys to condense on the ball. All right, 2/3 of the defense would help this one, but ultimately didn't affect anything. Okay, nice tight setup within 5 yards, both sides. Yes, immediate run recognition. Zoomed out for a brief second, half a second, and then saw that it was not going out. It was all staying on the ground inside run. All right. Okay. Okay. And we're punting again. Okay. Punt, punt, punt. Good thing that this filmer is excellent at filming punts, because there's been a lot of them rapid fire here. Awesome. Okay. And there's the punter. There he is. Number 6. Love it. Saw him getting into the play there at the end. Okay. Great setup here. Fantastic. Yes. 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 All this. This is the best play I've seen yet. Okay. Why? Because the quarterback hits right on the edge. Right? And there's other teams that are doing this well every single play, but this is right here. Okay. People are filling this space. Right? No extra space behind the quarterback. And then the extra space, if there is any, is behind the safety. That's what I'm talking about. Right? Because guess what? Safeties, we've got routes still gaining depth down the field, right? And the safety's still running with it, and we still got guys back behind the quarterback filling that edge. Now we've got guys on both edges, and he stays with it, right? He immediately feels that hit that edge, and then zooms out with it, right? That's instinct. That's just seeing where it needs to zoom out and then hitting it right at the perfect spot. Whew. That play was exciting. Okay. That's what I like to see. When filmers are hitting it that good, they can do that every play, right? There's nobody keeping them from doing that on every play. If they can do it on that one, they can do it on every one. It's just a matter of practice and repetition and confidence and competence in the space, knowing how the camera works, knowing how the tripod is set perfectly to keep up with this, right? And it clearly is able to do it, and they can do it every play. Perfect. Perfect. And, aside from a couple of exceptions, they are doing it fairly perfect every play. Yep. Within 5 yards. Awesome. Awesome. Perfect setup. No reason to zoom out. Ball's on the ground, inside run. Everybody condenses on the ball. There was a guy at the top of the screen that kind of ran off, but at that point, you know. Okay, 3rd and 2. Nice. Look at that. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Alright, so you got a wider set here. You got nobody at the top, so you don't have to have a whole lot of space up there. But this formation changes here. Motion. So now he tightens in, and then guess what? Coming right back out. Comes back out with it. Right? Responding, anticipating, and responding to what's happening on the field. Right? Hey, motion's going inside. I can tighten in. Oh, coming back outside. I need to go back out. Right? Really well done. Really great job of responding to what he's seeing on the field. Kickoff. Keeping the kicker in the shot. Zooming out. Zooming back in. By keeping the kicker in the shot, you just end up having to zoom out a whole lot farther than you typically would. A whole lot farther. Like it's a significant amount farther that you have to zoom out just to keep the kicker in the shot. But you know, they're good at it. This filmer is doing a really great job moving the camera, staying with everybody. Spot on. Okay. Top of the screen. It's a pass. Okay, he's hitting the top of the screen there. He doesn't actually cross it. You got a space at the bottom and somebody hitting the top of the screen. That's kind of where I always say, you know, if you can adjust just to keep everybody, you know, cleanly in the shot, that works, but that's still looking really, really good. Nice, tightening up with the formation, zooming back out, and then zooming back in. Okay, keep it a little tighter on the zoom. 4th and 1. It's gonna be going for it. Gonna go get it. Straight ahead. Not entirely sure he got it. Defense says no. Okay, going the other direction. Perfect. Okay, a little zoom out at the end, but staying in there for the whole play. Tightening up the formation, zooming back out, keeping everybody in. But, I mean, just such slight, you know, even when they do zoom out, it's so measured, you know, just a teaspoon of zooming out, right? Other filmers I'm seeing, you know, zooming out by the gallon, and this San Diego Los Angeles Chargers filmer is just really just being a whole lot more deliberate about how much zooming they're going to do and how much zooming they're not going to do, which is even better. And there goes the sky cam. All right. Field goal was good, and kicking off again. Okay. All right. So here we go. Let me see it. Zoom out to keep the kicker in the shot. And we keep the kicker in the shot till right there. Okay, right when you can drop him out of the shot again. I don't know. It doesn't seem to add anything to keep a kicker in a shot like that. Either you're keeping him in there the whole time, or you're dropping him out immediately. Oh, got stuck. All right. Great setup. Formation makes it easy, right? Sometimes the formation's all kinds of everywhere, and you have to zoom out with it and can't get as tight as you normally could. But when they're in a nice tight set like that, and you can zoom right up on it, that's fantastic. Okay. Awesome. Top to bottom, receivers were pressing the top and bottom on that, so they couldn't get tight side to side. All right, tight set. Back to that same formation that I mentioned earlier, and then the spreading out top to bottom again from there, sideline to sideline. Okay. Same formation. Okay, keeping it on the ground that time. What are they going to do here? Nice. Awesome play call. Loved it. Filmer did a great job. Great set. Yes. Okay. This I like. This I like. This looks good. Okay, ball's away. Right? Anticipate and respond. You know the quarterback's throwing the ball to somebody. Dish it off already. Okay, if you don't see that the quarterback throws it to somebody, that's one thing. But if you see it, expect that all these guys are no longer going to stay in routes. They're all coming back to make this tackle. Everybody in blue is coming this direction, right? And everybody in white's trying to get in front of them to throw a block, right? And you'll see it. Watch what happens. Yep. Okay. So now all this extra space is nothing, right? And the extra space didn't come from nowhere. It popped up right here, right? This is all the extra space. So that's where, putting it in the box, you're going to be more in this range. Okay. If you really wanted to get tight on it, you can go in like this. All right. This guy at this point isn't doing much. Okay. You can really kind of start to focus towards the end zone. That's the way, the direction that everything's happening. All right. Okay. Drop the receiver to the top pretty quick. I mean, the ball's away now, and now we're dropping guys out, right? Whereas in the last play, we were keeping guys in way longer, longer than we needed to. But in this one, dropping them out almost immediately. Fantastic. Where are we at? Right here. Okay. There's room to tighten this up. Okay, on that side of the edge. Okay. If we're tightening tighter here, we're seeing more here. Okay. Okay. All right. Awesome. So right here, what I noticed was how the decision is made, right? You make a decision, you're zooming out just to make sure that everybody's in the shot, and then now it's clearly a run going this direction. You guys are out, right? We're moving on. Quarterback, out. Okay. So we went from all 22 down to all 19, and that's fine. Referee, you're out. Get out of there, right? We can zoom up on this, and they do. See? All right. You can see the thought process. You can see the decisions being made in real time. You can see the response to what's happening on the field, and that's what I like to see. As soon as I can't really figure out what the filmer was thinking when he decided to zoom out as wide as he possibly could, then that's where I see the biggest issues with the footage coming out of it. This stuff is fantastic. Wow, awesome. Making a game of it. Special teams, extra point. Okay, no reason to zoom in. There's a slight zoom for no reason. You got the perfect setup, just leave it. Kickoff. See how long the kicker can stay in this time. Oh yeah, this kicker gets down the field, doesn't he? Nice. Awesome. All right, tightening up within 5 yards, right at the 5-yard line, 5-yard mark behind the running back there. Straight ahead run. Okay, getting tight. 2/3 to the defense. Zooming out to make sure they keep everybody in the shot, and then zooming back in. Love it. Yes. Okay. All right. And there is that left to right movement. Okay. There's a lot of space back here. All right. Go ahead and frame it up. You can leave space behind the quarterback, but we're past 10 yards here, right? But at the snap, they come left to right to fill in that space, cut it down, and then get the back of the quarterback, or if there is somebody looping behind him, to that edge, and then that frees up space down this direction. you don't have to zoom out as far. Now they're zooming back out again, right? So now we're gaining more space behind the quarterback that we don't need. All right. Okay. All right. Awesome. $3.55. Perfect setup. Perfect decisions. Perfect execution. Awesome. Yep. Looks great. Okay. Awesome. There's 21 guys in that shot. That entire play. They dropped the quarterback. Dropped the quarterback once he handed off the ball and wasn't involved in the play anymore. So, I mean, that is spot on. At that point, you can evaluate absolutely everybody on the field. You can see their numbers. You can see their footwork. You can see their hand movement, their hand placement. If they're blocking somebody, you can see how they're shedding a blocker. Everything. Awesome. Same here. I saw everybody on that play. I saw what the blockers at the bottom of the screen were doing. Okay. Saw a guy at the top of the screen. We went out to find him. 42, moving across the field. Now he's a lead blocker. Okay. Man, looking really good. Motions cross field, handoff again. Hey, that play, we thought that play was gonna be good. Let's do it again. Works this time. That play should work. We should be able to score a touchdown on it. Let's run it again. It works. Special teams, again, a slight zoom in, doesn't add anything. Set it up. It's a crockpot shot. Set it up and forget it. Unless there's a blocked kick, and then you have to make some very quick adjustments as needed. All right, special teams good as per usual. Seems to be a strength of this filmer is special teams. Kickoffs and punts did really well with, as well as most offensive plays. I say most because some of them go a little wider, such as this one. Okay, out past 10 yards here. Great. Fantastic. Nice and tight in both directions. Not a lot of space behind the quarterback. Saw everything I needed to. Okay. Yes. Awesome. Okay. Very similar formation throughout this entire series so far. $45 to go in the game. Got the ball back. Kneeling on it. It's a good way to end a game. Best play in football. All right. Timeout. Stop the clock. 31 seconds. This should do it. Yeah. Fantastic. What a game. Loved it. So good to see these two teams play and see what the filmer's doing. Fantastic job by this Chargers filmer. Very, very impressed with what they were able to accomplish here. Out of 138 plays, 134 of them were positive. 97% were positive. Okay. 4 plays that were really kind of out of bounds as far as getting too wide, and that's it. Excellent. Out of all those plays, 81% was excellent. So really couldn't ask for much more as an evaluation tool. So that bonus, it gives you an extra 8.1% added to your total. So that puts you at 105.22%, which puts you in the top 5 filmers in the NFL from what I've seen so far from these league filmers. So great job. That was an impressive entire game from what I saw there. So looking to see what other games the Chargers have for this season. Until then, this has been Cameraman Grades.